Hi everyone, it's my name's Rocco Pacella. I am the marketing coordinator here at PittCon. Many of you have hopefully interacted with me before, though I am new. You may have also interacted with my colleague Miranda Flam regarding exhibitor issues, sponsorships, and things like that. We're glad to have you here. I like seeing that number of attendees at the webinar go up. And just to give you a little background on me, I said before I am a little new here. I've been here for about 6 months. I will be attending PittCon for the first time this March in Chicago. I look forward to seeing all of you there. And I've been speaking with Jefferson, our presenter today, a lot about how we can make the experience for exhibitors better, how we can enhance that for them. And these are the ways to do it. So real quick, my background. I've been here for 6 months. I've been doing marketing for almost 20 years, mainly in the nonprofit sector. PittCon as a nonprofit exposition and conference is new to me. The reach that the organization has is terrific, an international reach, and the focus that the organization has is also terrific, especially with regard to things like this and bringing in exhibitors such as yourselves. I guess if we can move to the next slide. There we go. Our commitment is to the exhibitor and the attendees that we have coming to the show. So what we want to do is, bring you in, give you the venue with which to promote yourselves, your companies, your research, and of course your instrumentation. But we also want to make sure that attending PittCon and exhibiting at PittCon is a success for you, which is why we have, along with Competitive Edge, the Exhibitor Success and Return on Investment Center. There you can see as we go down the list, the live and on-demand webinars, live being the one that you're in today, the how-to exhibiting article series, exhibitor tools, trade show expert Q&As, and of course the blogs that you can read. I will say that when I was first starting here at PittCon, this was one of the pages on our website that I went to learn pretty much everything about the exhibitor side of what we do here. So if you're a new exhibitor, you have a tremendous amount to learn by visiting this page. If you're a returning exhibitor, whether that's a few years or whether that's like some of our exhibitors 50 years, this is a great page to just get updated on the latest in exhibiting. So I will ask all of you to please bookmark, share with any of your colleagues that are coming to PittCon to exhibit with you, with any of your peers that are in your companies with you that aren't coming to PittCon. Share this website with them, the pittcon.org/exhibitor/ESRC. And of course, access it yourselves when you have the time. Again, a wealth of information on there, a lot of great information on how to exhibit efficiently and effectively, and most importantly, get the return on investment for your investment in attending PittCon. And our next one, I'll introduce Jefferson Davis, the voice you heard introducing you to this very webinar. Jefferson Davis, again, as with the exhibitor, the Resources Center link that I gave you in the last slide, he's a wealth of information. I've spoken with him numerous times, and he's actually helped me to learn a lot about trade shows in general, not just from the local level, but from this international reach that really PittCon does have. So Jefferson's a consultant, he's a trainer, he's a speaker, he's an author, he's a jack of all trades. He's got 30 plus years exhibiting experience, a wealth of information. He's exhibited at over 200 trade shows. He's a results-focused guy, hence our Return on Investment Center. He's developed these workable processes to address all of these exhibiting issues. That comes with the 30 years of experience, because as you go through this, as you see more, as you attend more trade shows, as you exhibit yourself, as you speak to exhibitors, you learn what exhibitors need and what works and what doesn't work to get that return on investment at exhibiting at a trade show as large as PittCon or as small as a local show. So he has his trade show turnaround blog, which you can see the website there, and you'll get this presentation after you'll be able to print this and access these. And as I have tested many of time, you can contact Jefferson via phone or email, and he is a very quick response man. So he will be taking the webinar over after me. Thank you again for attending.
All right, thank you, Rocco. And again, thanks to everybody for being here. I got tossed into my first show in 1985. Didn't have any idea what I was doing. Made every mistake that you could possibly make. 1988, I really became fascinated with exhibiting as a marketing, a sales, and a customer relationship channel. So I became a pretty intense student of exhibiting. I'm still a student today. As much as I'm a teacher, I'm a student. The game is changing rapidly. And what I've been on the hunt for is very similar to the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. Most of you are probably familiar with the Pareto principle that says that 80% of the value typically comes from 20% of our efforts. So what I've been trying to really uncover over the last 30 years is what are those 20% of the efforts that deliver 80% of the results. And today's webinar is going to hit what I think is a top 5. Win the game before kickoff. The single biggest factor that limits most exhibitors' value from the time and money they invest in an exposition like PidCon is their inability to get enough of the right people to their booth. So we're going to really take a deep dive today on the art and the science of how to fill your booth with high value interactions, ideally before the show even opens. That's what I mean by winning the game for kickoff. It is a tremendous feeling to walk into an exhibit hall, set up your exhibit, knowing that most of your interaction capacity is spoken for before the show even opens. And that's where we want to take you today. So as Rocco mentioned, the ESRC has over $15,000 of free trade show productivity training, tools, exercises, webinars, all there, all free. So let's get rolling here. We're exhibiting, most of us are marketing managers who are managing the company's exhibited program. And so I'm imagining we're all exhibiting here for marketing reasons, for customer relationship reasons, and for some of us sales reasons. So Jim Rohn, one of my favorite speakers, business philosophers, said it as good as anybody could ever say it. You know, he was asked, what are the keys to marketing success? And the first thing he said, you got to have something good to say. There's so much noise out there in the marketing space today, and people are deleting, distorting, and generalizing much of the Marcom, the communications that are coming at them. So you got to have something good to say. Second, you got to say it well. You have to be able to articulate your marketing, either your value proposition or your unique selling proposition. You have to be able to articulate your value propositions in a way that cuts through the noise. And number 3, you have to say it often. Once is never enough. There's some research out there that's suggesting that it takes 6 to 9 impressions before a person even notices something. Now, I don't think it has to be that long, especially if you understand how to craft value props, which I'm going to show you, but you got to say it more than once. And finally, I'm going to add to Jim Rohn's most excellent statement here by saying today, you got to say it through multiple media, through multiple channels. So take a look at the screen here and you will see an infographic of an integrated marketing strategy. This kind of gives you a sense of the breadth of opportunities, that the channels, if you will, that we can use to promote our exhibit. And my question for you is how many, when you're promoting your participation at an event like PidCon, I'm going to launch my first poll of the day here. How many marketing media do you currently use to promote your exhibit? Please look on the screen. The poll is live right now. Click the radio dial button that applies. How many media do you currently use to promote your exhibit? And I'll give you just a moment to complete the poll. Looks like about 60% of you have polled so far. If you haven't done so, please look at the screen, click a radio dial button that applies. And I want to share the results because I think it'll be illuminating to get a sense of what you're doing and maybe what your colleagues or competitors are doing. Okay, I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Well, the good news is I'm excited to learn that nobody on this webinar said you're not using any of these channels to promote your exhibit. That's good. At least you're doing something. It looks like the lion's share of you were in the 3 to 4 range. You're using 3 to 4 media. Some of you, 10% of you, were in the 7+ media range. So the question I think that brings up is, how many media should we use? My thought is as many as your time, your budget, and your skill set allows you. The more, the merrier. You almost want to have what I'd like to call omnipresence. You're everywhere, everywhere they look, because it does take many impressions to cut through the noise and stick. So congratulations, pretty good level of marketing activity going on with our exhibitors on today's web briefing. Okay, so let's talk critical success factors. Remember I said the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule? After really working with hundreds and hundreds of exhibiting companies as a consultant trainer and exhibiting through my own companies, I think it comes down to 5 critical success factors if you're really trying to get value and you really want to drive return on investment. Number 1, know your outcomes. Define your outcomes. There's a saying that clarity is power, focus is power. So you got to sit down and ask yourself, when the doors close on Pittcon, 90, 180 days after the show, how will we know we succeeded? That's the major question. And we're going to come up with reasons, right? Get leads, right? Increase brand awareness, introduce a new product or service or research, right? Meet with our existing customers. These are all reasons. Write this phrase down. Reasons are not enough. Every exhibitor has reasons. 1 out of 4 have goals. There's a big difference between a reason and a goal. A reason is get some leads. A goal is by closing time, we will have captured at least 45 qualified leads. There's a world of difference in those two outcomes. One is vague, the other is very specific. So you're going to want to define, what does success look like in the area of marketing, in the area of customer relationship management, and in the area of sales. And you're not going to stop with reasons. You're going to want to back those up with written action plans. We have some articles up on the ROI Center. One of them is called Plan to Win. I would strongly encourage you to download that and make sure that you walk into Pittcon with at least 3 compelling future outcomes that everybody on your team knows and everybody owns a part of achieving the goal. So, as Stephen Covey in his great book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People said, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. That's what we're talking about here, right? Number 2, selective attraction. This is the primary topic we're going to dive into today. You see, Pittcon is a large show. There's over 12,000 attendees. And here's reality. Not all of those 12,000 are your target visitor, 1. 2, you couldn't handle 12,000, right? So the question is, who are the right visitors for you? What is your value proposition of with over 800 exhibiting companies. Why should an attendee come see you? We'll talk more about that. And then what are you going to do between now and when you arrive at PitCon so your company and your exhibit is in their mind and on their agenda with the end game of attracting enough of the right people to your exhibit. So we're going to work through that today, but I do need you to understand the other factors. The visitor experience. The visitor experience is going to come down to your booth, your exhibit, your product or service presentation or demonstration, and your staff. You're trying to synchronize all three of these elements, booth, presentation, staff, with the end game of a high quality interactive experience that gets the visitor to commit to a clear next action. Manage the visitor experience. Number 4, if you're not signing contracts or writing orders on the show floor and you ever want to get a hard dollar return on investment, you've got to understand that the real product you're going to walk off the show floor with is leads. Now, leads have a lot of different faces, and we've got, I believe, a webinar up on the ROI Center about lead management. But you got to think about who are you targeting? What criteria do you need to capture to be able to qualify an opportunity? You got to develop a very simple questioning process, train your booth staff on the process, and support it with some form of a capture device. And of course, you got to follow up, right? Follow up is a really big problem in the industry. So you got to make sure that any lead worth taking is worth following up on. And number 5, last but not least, measurement and learning. There's an old saying, what gets measured gets done. I'll spin it another way. It's hard to improve what you're not measuring. So developing a set of performance metrics, how well did you execute your exhibit, value metrics, where did you get value, and ROI metrics so you can measure. Because many of you might be marketing managers, marketing assistants. I never want the day to come when your boss walks into the office and asks you, hey, we just spent $50,000 on PitCon. What did we get? I want you to be armed to the teeth with answers on what did we get. And finally, learning from the experience. You should walk off of every show floor with at least 3 very specific lessons, things that you've learned so you can get better and better and better at your next show. So those are the 5 critical success factors. The problem with most exhibitors is that they're caught in the logistics trap. What I mean by that is 90% of their pre-show time is spent on get the space, get the booth, get the graphics, get the products, get the literature, get the people, send it to the venue, set it up, tear it down, send it home, do all that on time and on budget, and call that pre-show planning. I don't really call that pre-show planning. I call that dealing with logistics. You got to do it, right? We know that. You got to do it, but you got to carve out time, because here's the promise. If you address all 5 of these factors, you will win not only at PitCon, you'll win at any exposition you do. Here's the warning. If you neglect or avoid any one or any combination of these factors, you are going to struggle, okay? So make sure that you are covering. So I'm going to ask you a question right now. Look at these 5 factors. I want you to score your company's current processes on how well you're addressing these 5. A 5 is very effective. A 4 is effective. A 3, somewhat effective. 2, somewhat ineffective. 1, ineffective. Go ahead and score yourself right now on how well you feel your company is addressing these 5 critical success factors. And here's the takeaway. Any area that you scored a 4 or less is going to be your limiting factor. So get on that ROI center and dig for the content. We've got content to address all 5 factors in depth on the PidCon Exhibitor ROI Center. All right, so let's get rolling here on selective attraction. There are 2 ways to exhibit. You can exhibit by objectives, or you can exhibit by hope, meaning you can rent space, show up, and hope. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a plan. Hope does not help you address how trade show attendee behaviors have changed. So let's talk about why developing your pre and at show marketing campaign is so critical. Well, number one, they tend to be registering closer to the actual date of the show. So that means if we're going to use any show media, we've got to have it ready to go. Number two, they tend to be spending fewer number of total days at a show. Now, it's not that they don't value shows. In fact, the research tells us they value shows more than ever. But the problem is they're under pressure to justify time away from the business. So they're reducing the number of days they're at the show. They are desperately looking for content and useful information, and they're looking squarely to you, the exhibitor, for this information. Number 4, 76% of attendees are arriving with an agenda. They already know what technical sessions are going to attend. They know what social events they're going to attend. They know where their blocks of time in the exhibit hall are. They have a list of exhibitors they plan on visiting. And check this one out. Now, this is the North American B2B average. The average attendee will stop and visit 26 to 31 exhibitors on average during their time at show. Half of those stops are pre-planned. I really want this to sink in with you to understand why exhibiting by hope does not work, especially in a large show like PidCon here. And the paradox of all this is that in spite of all these facts, less than 20% of exhibitors are going to do what we're talking about in today's webinar. So congratulations on you being here. Unfortunately, you are in the minority, but fortunately, that is a great competitive advantage for you, meaning that your competition's not paying attention to this, what we're talking about. So let's get into process here for the next 30 minutes. I've been developing, applying, refining, and improving this process for the last 29 years as a consultant trainer in my work with companies. So I believe in business, everything can be boiled down to a process. So this is the 8-step process that I'm going to walk you through quickly on how to develop and execute a world-class exhibit marketing campaign. Number 1, why are you exhibiting? Okay. I want you to take a look on the screen. These are not the only reasons, but these are the top reasons why companies are exhibiting. What I want you to do is to clarify in writing your top 3 reasons for exhibiting. Why are you exhibiting? This is going to drive a lot of your strategy. It's going to drive a lot of your selection of media. It's going to drive your messaging. So let's get clear in step number 1. Why are you exhibiting? And remember, do the work of converting reasons to goals. What you're seeing on the screen are reasons. Okay. Number 2, we want to determine who you want to see at PidCon. There's a lot of killer demographic data available on the link on the screen. You'll notice that PidCon has 12,541 attendees. When you go inside, there are specialties, job titles, there are industry segments. By looking at the demographic chart, you'll be able to get a fairly accurate count of how many people in the audience match your profile. So I'm going to encourage you to go to the PidCon demographic page. Okay, I would open the page here, but I worry about bandwidth and the webinar freezing up. I've had that happen. So I got one. Here's your second big takeaway. Right after the webinar, if you have not done so, go to this link, look at the demographics, and try to get a handle by using percentages how many people in that audience match your target visitor profile. So we're going to get clear on who do you want to interact with. Okay. Now, there's another strategy under attracting high value visitors that I would like you to work on. We call it your CPS triangle. And the base of the triangle are your existing customers. You never want to go into a key show like PidCon without reaching out and touching and inviting your customers, whether you think they're coming or not. Why? The competition is banging on the door loudly. Circle the wagons around your existing customers. And I put this in red, right? Because this is critical. You do not leave the doors wide open. Today, many buyers today are using trade shows to revalidate existing buying relationships. So make sure you make a complete list of customers who have or are likely to attend or should attend, and reach out and touch them. There are 4 reasons to get them to the show. 1 is relationship management. 2 is probing for additional opportunities in the account. 3, keeping your ears to the ground for change, who's coming, who's going, mergers, acquisitions. 4, advocacy, people that love your company, love your services, love your products, and would serve as a referral source. Now, the quick cash flow, if you're using trade shows as a sales support tool, is to build a list of all prospects that are in your sales pipeline and invite them to the show with one primary purpose: to advance them to the next step in the sales cycle. This is the low-hanging fruit. This is where the fast return on investment is hiding for many companies right here. And the third side of the triangle is what I call suspects. A suspect is a profile match. You have no meaningful engagement or dialogue. You're going to use the show to open the door, put a face with a face, begin a dialogue. Now, if you really want to motivate your sales, your dealers, your distributors, here's how you activate the plan. Number 1, ask each member to submit a list with X number of customers, prospects, suspects. Ask them to set an outcome for each name on the list. Ask them to have personal outreach to their list at least 3 times before the show. And it works best if you use multiple media. Don't just email, right? Mix it up. What you're going for on this outreach is one of 2 things: a confirmed appointment or a verbal commitment. Yes, we're coming to the show. Yes, we plan on visiting your booth. Now, PidCon has a exhibitor guest program invite process, and you get free 4 free exhibit passes for each 10 by 10 square feet space that you take. Okay, so I would use that on my most important visitors, the people that I absolutely really want to see at the show. These are one-time use registration codes for your exhibitor guests. It gives them a single day registration while the expo is open. They can come on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Now, they'll have the option to upgrade to a full attendee registration, but they would pay the difference. So you're getting them into the event for free. If they want to take in the full event, they would be paying on their end. And finally, consider creating a contest. Get your sales or business development dealer distributors competing to see who can get the highest percentage of their CPS list to the show and to your booth. All right, building on step number 2, let's talk about lists, okay? The best trade show list sources available are the pre-registered attendee mail list, and when possible, the last year's list or the post-show list. Okay, these are available through PidCon. There is a small fee attached. It's worth every dollar. So obviously your best list will be pre-registered and previous attendees. The next one is your company database. that CPS process I just walked you through. The next one is previous show visitors. Maybe you were in PittCon last year and you had people who came to your booth, but you never reconnected with. Maybe you exhibited at similar shows. You have names from those. Invite them. Recent inquiries. Anybody who's inquired about your product services over the last 3, 6, 9 months. If you work through dealers or distributors or channel partners, talk to them. Have them promote your participation. Professional journal, trade publication readership lists can often be purchased by demographics and geography. Those are great lists. So step number 2, let's calculate, let's determine who are the right people. Let's build a list source that includes internal sources and external sources, and let's combine them all together. Now, grab your pen, grab a calculator. What I'm going to walk you through right now might be one of the most important numbers that you ever experience in the game of exhibiting. We call it exhibit interaction capacity. It is a mathematical formula that you can use to accurately estimate how many visitors you can handle in your booth. So let's do this together. PittCon has 24 exhibiting hours. Write that down. Question: how many booth staff are you going to have in your booth on duty for those 24 hours for the purpose of talking to visitors? Notice the footnote. The staffing rule of thumb is 50 square feet per staffer. If you are in a single booth, a 10 by 10, you have space for 2 staffers, maybe 3 if you don't have a lot of stuff in the booth. Now you're going to multiply those 2 together and you are going to have your total staff hours. This is your interaction capacity. Now listen carefully. I want you to select a target number of interactions per hour per staffer. The range is 3 to 5. Notice the footnote on the bottom. 3 is relatively conservative. 4 is moderate. 5 is maybe aggressive. Maybe aggressive, maybe not, depending on your booth and some other variables. But I want you to pick a number between 3 and 5, and you have your magic number, your exhibit interaction capacity. In this example, if you're in a single booth space, you have the capacity for 144 to 240 interactions. I would rather you lock in on a specific interaction per hour than use the range, because you're going to want to communicate this to your booth staff. Hey, when you're in the booth at PittCon, our expectation is that you're going to stand face to face and talk to at least 4 visitors, 5 an hour, 3 an hour, whatever. Okay. Now, pro tip, remember your lists. Try to make sure that your list count, the people you're promoting to, is 3 to 5 times larger than your exhibit interaction capacity. So if I'm on the 3 to 5, if I take 144 times 3, I'm wanting my list to be at least 432 names. If I take 144 times 5, I'm wanting it to be 720 names. So I'm wanting the target list of people I'm promoting to be 440 to 720 names. Now, you'll notice that PittCon is expecting around 12,000 attendees. It's not that hard to win, right? If you do the right things. But the problem is too many exhibitors show up, set up their exhibit, stand around, and hope attendees come running. Unfortunately, doesn't work like that, right? So it's not that hard to win. When you have your magic number, right, for you to win the game, all you got to do is attract and interact with 144. If you could get 50% of those interactions spoken for before you get to the show, if 72 people said, yes, I'm going to PittCon and yes, I'm coming to your booth, that is pretty close to winning the game before kickoff. Okay, now what I'd like you to do quickly, go to your question tab right now. Everybody click on your little tab that says questions. I would like you to type in your exhibit interaction capacity. I want to make sure you understand this formula. Everything spins off of this formula. So go to your question queue right now. I'll give you a minute. Click questions, open it up, just type the number, and I'm going to take a peek in there, see what we've got. 288, 192, Keep them coming. There's a lot of you on here. If you've tuned out and you're looking at your email or your cell phone, come back. This is really important what we're doing here. 288, 288. All right, so keep those coming in. I'd like to see 100% on that because I can predict your return on investment just by knowing this one number. Okay, so exhibit interact. Remember this key takeaway, write this down. Trade shows are about face and next. This formula gives you the ability to accurately predict how much face-to-face contact you physically can handle in your exhibit. The goal, get that capacity spoken for before you get to PittCon. All right, let's keep moving along here. I want to go to my second poll of the afternoon here. I would like to ask you, what percent of your exhibit budget do you allocate to promoting your exhibit? The poll is live now. Take a look. Click the radio dial button that applies. And I'll give you just a moment here. All right, about 70% of you have polled. I'll give you just another moment. We're pushing 80% on 3, 2, 1. Let me share the poll. Take a look at the screen, everybody. So 11% of you said nothing. It was pretty evenly split between 1 to 9%. 21% of you said 10 to 14%. Nobody said 15% plus. So that raises a good question, doesn't it? How much should we be at? Well, let's look at the research. According to the Center for Exhibition Industry Research, the last study done, 2017, the average exhibitor, look, is allocating 14% of their budget to promoting their exhibit. Now, I learned a long time ago, if you want to win, find out what the average is doing and do better than that. Now, I'm going to recommend in step number 4 here that you write down your total show budget or your investment. And by the way, the budgeting rule is floor space costs times 3 to 5. So in this example, if you were a member in a single space PittCon booth, right, you would be on the low end investing $9,450, maybe on the high end about just under $16,000. So what I want you to do first in your workbook, I want you to write down what your total show budget is. Then I want you to multiply that by 0.15, and this is minimally the amount you should be investing in promoting your exhibit. Now, there are times when you should go even higher than 15%. Big show. PittCon's a big show. Small booth, right? Got this little booth. Not too crazy about the location of your booth. The importance of the show and the attendees, a real strong match with the attendees and who you want to see. These are times when you may want to go higher. Now, some of you are saying, Jefferson, I hear you, but it's my boss. Well, here's what I would do. I would show this chart to your boss, and I would tell him or her this. If we do get enough of the right people to our exhibit, all these areas will end up as an investment. If we don't get enough of the right people to our booth, all these areas will end up as an expense. I would also show him or her how attendee behaviors have changed, those bullet points we showed you earlier. And I think you'll get the support you need. Okay, it's the difference between an investment or an expense. And it's the inability to get enough of the right people to the booth that is the biggest problem for most exhibitors. Okay, so let's make sure we're budgeting enough resources in step number 4. Number 5, it's one thing to market your exhibit. Going to PittCon? Visit booth 2222. Delete. You got to have something good to say, and you got to say it well. Remember what Jim Rohn said? Have something good to say it well. So when you're trying to grab attention, the first job of any outreach, whether it is social media, email, direct mail, print advertising, your exhibitor listing, your exhibit graphics, anything, you got to cut through the noise and grab attention. It's the AIDA formula. 3 ways to do that at shows. New is a magnet. It's one of the top reasons they come to a show. If you have something new, scream new out of your messaging. Problematic. Everybody's grappling with problems and challenges and goals. So what problems can you help them solve? Learn. This is a very technical, very scientific audience. They're coming to learn. Any one or combination of these 3 elements will help you cut through the noise, grab attention. Here's the question I would ask if I were in your seat. What situations would prompt laboratory scientists and chemistry professionals to think about what we do, what we offer? Situations. Once you find your top 3 situations, integrate those into your pre and your at show marketing efforts. It will cut through the noise. It'll help you grab attention. It'll pull the right people to your booth. I don't want just anybody at my booth. I want the right people at my booth, right? So here's what your value proposition, all of your thinking from the previous exercise will help you fill out this template, so to speak. If you're going to take the problem approach, tired of this, worried about that, grappling, struggling with this, insert your problem. If you're going to take the opportunity, the learning approach, interested in this, curious about this, want to learn more about this, you can use either or both, right? Give us 5 minutes at PitCon at booth number 123. You'll see, do, you'll learn. Oh, by the way, you'll get, if you have any form of, if you're giving away a research paper, promotional products, whatever, right? So invest the time to find your value proposition. This gives you a template on how to quickly, concisely, and persuasively communicate out of 800-900 booths. Why should you come see us? See, do, learn, and get. Okay. Now, remember, we're back to the chart. How many media do you use? Well, in step 6, we have to sift through all the stuff that's available and try to figure out what makes sense for us, right? And it really falls into 5 baskets. You have print advertising and display advertising. These are show-specific media. It could be meter boards, signage, digital walls. It could be trade publications, professional journals. Then you have PR, public relations. You want to have a news release or a press release. If you got a big announcement, bring a press kit. Posting news throughout your social media channels. The digital media is email, your websites, the internet, social media, mobile apps, right? Don't forget about mail. The clutter in the mailbox has gotten really, really light. Letters of invitation, more formal invitations, oversized postcards. And finally, get your sales, your dealer, your business development team on the phone. Make some phone calls, right? Walk through some doors. Use voice broadcasts, not robocalling. So here's the question. If you're going to put together a world-class campaign, ideally, you'll be doing something in each one of these areas, maybe multiple things in each one of these areas. So what I'd like to do right now is bring Rocco back very quickly, just for a few minutes. We're not here to sell you anything. This is totally educational, but we think it's important you understand the free stuff that's available and what else is available. Rocco, give us an overview. What do they need to know about the free ops available for exhibitors?
Yeah, sure. Well, we could just go down the list, but I'll say that anything that you can do to promote your attendance at PitCon is a win, because it gives the people that are receiving your promotions reason to read and engage with those promotions. So what we offer are these marketing opportunities that everyone can get that exhibits at PitCon. We do have ones that are for pay, the sponsorships, various ads and everything. But these are the ones that everyone gets, and these are reasons, again, to promote your attendance. These work also as sort of an active on our side, but more of a passive promotion on your side that people are going to see in general. So we do have the company listings. We have our website floor plan, our mobile app listing, and of course our final program, which is a print version this year, but it is essentially the print version of the app. We have our exhibitor guest one-day passes, which you get free to give away for 10 by 10. One big one that I don't see a lot of people taking advantage of, that I think more of our longer term exhibitors see the benefit of, is our press conference rooms. We do offer free press conference rooms. Those have to be scheduled. Those, again, they give you a reason to promote to the people, hey, we're having a press conference. It promotes to the press, so you get PR from that, hopefully. But it also, as I was saying, it gives you the reason to promote to possible booth visitors that say, we have this press conference, come see what we're revealing at this press conference, what we're speaking about, our newest instrumentation, and so forth. Again, that's a big one that I don't see a lot of people doing, because I think a lot of exhibitors rely on press releases only. But there's a lot to be said about a press conference, especially if you do it right. We also have our publicity office. That's probably where me and my team will be posted up for a lot of the time. We have catering for the press there. We have computers, our printer for the press. You name it, we got there. We're trying to give the press a place to write their stories or just do the research that they need to do. Having access to that as an exhibitor, or just being around that area, gives you de facto access to the press, more on a one-on-one interaction. We do have the logos, the banner graphics, digital brochure. Those can be found on our website under the exhibitor section. We do have our networking sessions. One big one that we're promoting is PittCon Party. This is the first year we're doing that. What used to be the president's reception, which was an invite only by the president, is now an open to everyone, open to all attendees, exhibitors, booth staff. We are doing that on Wednesday, March 4th, 7 to 10 p.m. That's at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, which, if you haven't been there, it is an immense, prolific structure. And it's an older structure. It's terrific for an event. And what we're doing is it's $25 per person to go. It's sort of a outside of PittCon networking event, which you get the admission to the museum. We are the only people that have the museum from that time. So it's the entire museum that you get access to. You get 2 drink tickets, Chicago style hors d'oeuvres, and of course ice cream. And we do have exhibitors participating in sponsorships with that. So we're working with them to see what sort of special things they can get. And one big one that I'm excited about are the flight simulators, which are supposed to be incredible. So that's PittCon Party. We have our welcome reception, which is right after one of our key lectures. I believe it's our Wallace lecture. That is on Sunday, I believe, or Monday, but we have a lecture on each day, so there's going to be a reception after a bit. And of course, we have social media. We are active on social media, so we ask you to let us use our social media, please. Tag us, follow us. We will help you out with that. And if there's anything we can do to help you get your social media reach out, please let us know. You can connect with us on any of those, or of course, you can email me right there. Email is better than call, but feel free to call me too if you like hearing my voice some more. Thanks, Jefferson.
Thanks, Rocco. Yeah, hey, that PittCon Party, $25, a couple drinks, food, and I've heard that museum is unbelievable. It's on my hit list for sure. Be where the attendees are during the show, and that PittCon Party is a killer one. Rocco's emphasis on the publicity office. Hey, if you got something newsworthy, that is free PR. Advertising is what we pay for. Publicity is what we pray for. So use that. And keep in mind also that the show does have, whatever your goals, whatever your budget, whatever your strategy is, there's probably opportunities that PittCon offers on a for purchase basis, whether it's an advertising opportunity or a sponsorship opportunity. The best advice I could give you is to view Rocco and Miranda, and honestly, the entire PitCon team as your marketing partner. Think about what your goals are. Think about who your target visitor is. Think about what your budget is, and pick up the phone and give them a call. They don't bite. They're extremely nice people. They're here to help you succeed. So make sure you take a look at that. So in the sake of time, we're going to move on. This is a chance right now to gather your breath. Think about any questions that have flashed into your mind while we've been powering through this content. We have gone through 6 of the 8 steps. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up with the final 2 steps. Step 7 is execution, putting it all together, taking all of your thinking from your goals to your target visitor, to your lists, to your budget, to your value proposition, right? To your selection of media, and then deploying. So I thought the best way I could maybe explain this to you is to just give you a snapshot of what a campaign might look like. You're a small exhibitor. You're in a 10 by 10 inline booth. We're going to use the floor space times 3 to 5 rule. You're going to allocate at least 15% of that to promoting your exhibit. You have 2 goals. You are trying to increase your market visibility awareness, and you want to drive booth traffic so you can capture leads that you can follow up and convert to sales. What would you do first? The CPS strategy. You already have the lists. You've probably already in dialogue with them. Put your sales team, reps, and dealers to work. Number 2, I would look into mailing an oversized postcard both to my CPS list and to the pre-registered attendee list, and I would offer some form of a reward for visiting the booth. I would use the free exhibitor guest codes for my 4 most important visitors, and again, you get 4 per 10 by 10. Make sure that your exhibit profile is really well written. We have an article called How to Rewrite Your Exhibitor Listing on the ROI Center. Go read it. Most exhibitors' profiles are not well written. Feels like they copied and pasted from a website. That's not what you're trying to do with your exhibitor profile. The primary thing you want them to do when they see your exhibitor listing or profile is to go, oh, I got to go to that booth, right? So make sure you write from that perspective. Number 1, that 5th button, get involved in PitCon social media programs and promote through your own social media. You notice these are all free, low-cost things. Grab that show logo and get it on all of your, your website, your email signatures, your social media, really all of your outbound communications with your audience. And finally, because it's so low cost, small exhibitor, I would put a 1/4-page ad in the final program. It's only $450, but that does go up this week, actually tomorrow. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in that, to reach out to Rocco. The thing about the program is that attendees use it to navigate the show, and it has a 1-year shelf life. They tend to take it back to their lab, and it's one of the first places they look when they're looking for sourcing. So make sure you get in the final program. Let's ratchet it up. You're a bigger exhibitor. You're in a 20 by 20. Your total investment's going to be in the 37 to 63,000 range. You're going to earmark 15% of that for promotion. So, but you have 2 additional goals. You have a new product that you're going to introduce or service, and you want to really be seen as a thought leader. So what are the things you would do? Well, you would do some of the similar things as a smaller exhibitor, right? But you would definitely get a hold of the pre-registered attendee list. And rather than mailing a postcard, you might do a higher level, what we call a concept mailer, high level concept, or even really almost like very formal, like wedding invitation looks type mailer. I would definitely schedule a press conference and press kits to promote that new product. I would look into getting into the demo zone to be able to demonstrate your new product. And because I'm trying to tie my company to education, I would look into sponsoring a short course coffee break. This will help enhance my position as thought leadership. You might also present sessions at the show. So there you go, small exhibitor medium. What does a campaign look like? Well, consistent messaging, consistent design theme, multiple media. If you were running print ads in trade journals and the official show program, here you go. Right? Notice it'll have a strong attention grabbing, clear headline, clear call to action. Visit us at, right, to get this or that. If you're doing mailer, I would carry the theme to an oversized postcard using a personalized URL and a landing page. Notice how we carried it. If you're working your house list with emails, I would create an HTML header or masthead with a click through to take to my landing page. And finally, I would have a landing page set up for the event where they can go. I can gather some information about the visitor, and it'll print out. I'll bring this to the booth to pick up, in this case, a flash drive. Okay, so you can see multiple media: print, mail, email, web. Notice how it's all integrated, and that look, feel, and design theme would carry all the way through to my exhibit. So final point as we wind down. Step 8, measure. You're trying to essentially validate a campaign so you can rinse, repeat, and reuse as you go forward. So you're going to track what media you used, when each media was deployed relative to showtime, how many were emailed, mailed, broadcast, sent, clicks, posts, links, whatever, likes, comments. What was the cost? You're going to detail the cost of each media. You're going to try to get a handle on what was my response rate by each media, and therefore what was my cost per response per media. Then you're going to step back and look at it all after the show, and you're going to go, what worked? What part of this campaign worked well? What did we learn from it? And how can we use the best of this campaign for our next show? So there you have it. We've covered 8 specific steps that will help you win the PitCon game before the doors open by getting in the mind, on the agenda of the right visitors. While you do that, I'm going to take a look at the question queue. Rocco, were there any additional thoughts or comments you would like to add before we wind down here?
No, I think we covered everything. I was going to talk about the final program, but you covered that too, so we're good.
Okay, so my first question in the queue is, how far in advance should I start promoting my participation in a show? The bigger the show, the farther out you're going to want to get. Ideally about 3 months before showtime, and then you're going to have your one-to-many media, like your print ads, some of your digital stuff. As you get closer to the show, in that last 45 day to showtime, you'll start deploying more of your one-to-one media. That would be emails, direct mail, making phone calls, stuff like that. So ideally, you'll want to start about 3 months out, and you'll want to, with your one-to-many, and you'll want to have your one-to-one go into play about 30 to 45 days before showtime. So that would be my advice on when. The second question is, do promotional products work? And my answer is yes, but get ready to write. Here's some answers. Number 1, do not make the promotional product the primary reason for visiting your exhibit. Make it the secondary. Make it the, oh, by the way, is our way of saying thanks. Deliver your value proposition first. Here's why you should give us 5 minutes at PitCon. Oh, by the way, is our way of saying thanks. I don't want people at my booth because they want a free pen or stress ball or USB drive or whatever. I want them at my booth because they have a problem I can help them solve or an opportunity I can help them seize. Now, when using promotional products, here's some key points. Unique, quality, useful, personalized. Number 5, tie it to a theme. Make it unique. Make sure it's quality. Don't give away junk, right? That'll tie back to you. So unique, quality, useful, something they can use. On top of the desk is better than in the desk, right? Think about a scientist. Think about a laboratory person. What would be a cool giveaway that they might actually keep on their person as they work? If you have the ability to personalize it by engraving their name or company name or whatever, that'll drive response through the ceiling, and ideally tie it to a theme or a message. Okay, promotional products, yes, they work. Secondary reason, unique, quality, useful, personalized, if possible, tie it to a theme. That is all I'm seeing for questions. I'll give you just another moment if anyone else has questions. Please be sure to watch your email. you'll receive in a few minutes. We really would like your feedback on today's web briefing. And last but not least, remember, this is your free exhibiting knowledge portal. There's over $15,000 of free content. I encourage you to go check it out. You'll see on the screen we have the standout exhibit report. There is a lot of content in there. So the stage is set. I want to thank you for logging in on this marketing piece today. On February 11th, we're going to do another webinar on engaging international attendees with a team member of mine, Stephanie Selesnik, who is an international exhibit expert. She's going to come on and really take us inside of the top 5 countries, international countries that attend, and give us some really good hitters on customs, cultures, and business practices. So mark February 11th on your calendar. On behalf of Rocco and Miranda and Tammy and the great team at PittCon, on behalf of me, Jefferson, and my team here at Competitive Edge, thanks for being an exhibitor. Thanks for logging in. Use what you learned, right? Find 3 things you're going to do, get off this webinar and get to work, because the show is just under 2 months away. You are right in the sweet spot to apply what you learned. So happy new year, happy new decade. We'll see you on the next webinar. We'll see you on the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center. And most importantly, we will see you at PittCon very soon. Have a great day, everybody. I've enjoyed being with you. Thanks.